Just a day away from game day. What a game. It's going to be Saturday night in Neyland Stadium, Tennessee, South Carolina. Your final South Carolina game preview, my predictions, and a chat with Boogie Bentley. All that and more right here on your Friday, Locked On Vols.
You are Locked On Vols, your daily podcast on the Tennessee Volunteers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, good Friday morning, everybody. Welcome into it. This is Locked On Vols, your team every single day. Got a fun show coming up. 2 segments with Boogie Bentley, segments 2 and 3 of Talkin VAWLS. And, of course, we're going to get into your South Carolina preview, my preview, right here on your Friday show. So excited. Again, this is going to be a big-time football game. Kind of like me and Andrew were talking about yesterday, I feel like this is, arguably the best game in the SEC this weekend. Like, low-key, it's a big-time game. Big-time game. I know Kentucky and Florida are getting some interest, and I know, some other matchups are getting some interest, and deservingly so, but this one's got some intrigue, obviously, because neither one of these two teams want to have 2 Southeastern Conference losses heading into the back half of the schedule. Plus, for Tennessee going into the bye week, it's just ginormous. You cannot go down 0-2. This is a must-win. Again, I've kind of flirted with it all week long. This is a must-win for Tennessee. In terms of winning the East, it's an absolutely must-win because after this, you can't go to Atlanta with 2 losses, in my opinion. I mean, crazier things can happen. Look at LSU last year. I get it, but you need to win this game. You need to win this game for sure. So let's go ahead and dive into it. Got some really unique stats I'm going to throw out there here in just a little bit. South Carolina, everybody knows what this is. We're not going to spend a whole lot of time talking about last year, but this game knocked Tennessee out of the college football playoff. This game, you got embarrassed 63-38. I mean, you didn't just lose this game, you got whipped. Can we finally change that narrative? Tennessee, South Carolina, to where we don't always have to say, well, yeah, the defense took a step. South Carolina game happened. I recognize that. Or Tennessee was so great, 10 regular season wins, all that. But the South Carolina game, can we change that narrative? Can Tennessee put South Carolina in its place? And no greater time to do that than in a night game at Neyland Stadium. This is one of those games to where, I recognize, Joe Milton's not great. I recognize the offense isn't where it needs to be. I recognize you're thin all of a sudden at linebacker because of one key injury. I recognize all that. I recognize you still have Kamal Haddon playing in the defensive backfield. But guys, can we all realize and can we all recognize the Tennessee football program now, what we think, is in a much better spot compared to what it was 2 years ago? It has come a long way. The players are better. The product is better. Having said all that, if this program is where we think it is and where we think in terms of progress that it's made, this is a football game you do not lose. It might not be pretty. It might not be flashy. You win this football game because you're better than South Carolina. South Carolina's got a damn good quarterback this year. Fact of the matter, Spencer Rattler, give him his due. He, through 4 games, and really the last couple games from last year after the Tennessee game, he's been great. But South Carolina has a very suspect defense, secondary, if you will. Can't run the football. Offensive line, very much a work in progress. So, again, there's some things here to where you're saying if you believe where you think you are, if you think you are where you are in terms of a football program and the growth of this rebuild, coming off what a great season last year was, you win this football game. Just point blank, this is a football game that you win. South Carolina, again, Spencer Rattler has been really, really good. 1,247 yards in 4 games, 7 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. He's completing 74% of his passes, yet he's been sacked 17 times in 4 games. Guys, that's over 4 sacks a game. I'm not good at math, but that's a little over 4 sacks a game. Wow. They've started 2 freshmen on the offensive line who made starts at Georgia, made starts against North Carolina at left tackle, at right guard. This offensive line trying to replace 3 starters from a season ago. Very much a work in progress. It has been backyard football for Spencer Rattler. It's been backyard football for Spencer Rattler, and he's still completing 74% of his passes. Good Lord. In fact, I pulled up some Pro Football Focus stats, and this is just mind-boggling, okay? On throws 20 yards down the field, so deep throws for Spencer Rattler. Not a whole lot on the year, though, because of that offensive line, right? 9 completions on 15 attempts. He's completing 60% of those, so 9 of 15. 380 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. Pro Football Focus grades him at a 92.9 on throws 20 yards down the field. That is considered elite. Okay, let's put Joe Milton in comparison. And again, I've made reference to this, like, oh, well, Tennessee not really stretching the field a lot, the first couple weeks, and that's true. They did last week. It was good to see, but still way more deep shots down the field compared to Spencer Rattler. In fact, Joe Milton, get this, guys, 7 of 27 on passes 20 yards down the field. 7 of 27. I hear you. Receivers have not helped them out a lot of times. They've dropped, they've not run tight routes, all this type of stuff. But at the end of the day, Joe Milton needs that stat's horrible. 7 of 27 on throws of 20 yards down the field or more. Okay? That is 25% completion percentage. 25%. 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. He's thrown for 266 yards. Pro Football Focus grades Joe Milton at 76.4%, which is considered above average. Again, because you've got the production out of it. You do have 3 touchdowns out of it. Again, when you've hit them, they've counted. Again, 7 completions, 3 of which have gone for touchdowns, and it's a very good percentage. But 7 of 27. Just think about all the ones last week. I think it was, 1 of 7 last week, and that 1 was a touchdown. You had 1 that should have been caught. You had 2 that should have been caught, in my opinion. A couple more that were close. But again, this is not horseshoes or hand grenades. This is football. 7 of 27. Let's go back to Spencer Rattler here. On throws of medium, 10 yards to 19 yards, he is 13 of 26 completing passes at 50%, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. At the line of scrimmage and up to 10 yards, so 10 yards and below, he is... Golly, okay, this is where he's made his heyday because, again, he's been running around all over the place because he has no blocking. Within 10 yards, Spencer Rattler has been so good. 47 of 55. 47 of 55 on passes 0 to 10 yards, completing 85% of his passes, 474 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, and then behind the line of scrimmage, he is 26 of 27. So Spencer Rattler, again, not a whole lot of deep shots down the field because the line is really not giving him an opportunity. We talk about how the Tennessee's offensive line's had some struggles, and we're going to see truly how bad, if it's bad, we're going to see how bad it is against South Carolina. But I do believe Cooper Mays is going to play. I do. At the time of this recording, I truly do. South Carolina is way worse because Spencer Rattler is throwing at or behind the line of scrimmage so much, but when he's throwing downfield at an elite clip, 20 yards down the field, 9 of 15, 3 touchdowns. Goodness gracious. Okay, back to South Carolina. We know about Spencer Rattler. The run game, not very good, guys. Mario Anderson's going to end up being their feature back. He's 34 attempts, 129 yards and a touchdown. Former Division II All-American, a finalist for the Harlan Hill Trophy, which is the Heisman Trophy for Division II. My buddy, shout out Andy Hibbett, was a Harlan Hill finalist back in 2014. I blocked for him one time on a big-time gain on a fake punt, so you're welcome, Andy, for getting you that recognition. But I think he's going to be the feature back when it's all said and done. But DeKerian Joyner is kind of their starting running back right now. He's the super utility, kind of does whatever. He's the guy that ran the Wildcat against Tennessee last year. And I would expect that to be another thing this year because why not? You found success against it last year. He's 38 attempts, only 99 yards, 4 touchdowns. Is second on the team with 12 receptions out of the backfield against super utility. A wide receiver, Xavier Legette. It's a name you've heard a lot this week. You heard Andrew talking about him yesterday. With no Juice Wells, who's out for this football game, Xavier Legette, 27 receptions, 556 yards, 3 touchdowns. Dude's come out of nowhere, just like Cedric Tillman. He was on this team in 2019, hadn't done a dang thing until this year. Excuse me, and he's made him count. Trey Knox, former wide receiver at Arkansas, tight end now at South Carolina. He could be a guy that Spencer Rattler looks to around the line of scrimmage. You are getting your slot receiver back, Ahmad Brown, 9 receptions, 86 yards. He missed last week with a hamstring. Again, Juice Wells is not playing in this football game. Former starting quarterback, actually is the backup quarterback as well, but also plays some receiver, Luke Dottie. He's out there as well. 7 players have caught at least 1 touchdown pass from South Carolina quarterbacks. Okay, so offensively, they're scoring 28 points per game, 415 yards per game, 340 yards passing through the air, and 75 yards on the ground. So kind of one-dimensional to say the least. Defensively, we'll make this quick. 26.5 points per game allowed, 434 yards allowed on average per game, 317 through the air, 117 on the ground. Keep in mind, guys, they played North Carolina, they played Georgia, they played Mississippi State, and they played Furman. Tennessee has played Virginia, Austin Peay, UTSA, and Florida. South Carolina's been tested. No ifs, ands, buts about it. South Carolina has been tested. Got to watch out for a leading tackler, Debo Williams, leading the way with 31 tackles. You've got a couple of safeties that are returning after a couple of cornerbacks got drafted in the NFL. DQ Smith and Nick Emmanuel, the two returning safeties. They're pretty good players. Up front, TJ Sanders, 3 sacks, 5 TFLs. He's a pretty good player. At the star position, David Spalding, who's had a couple of injuries. He's got an interception on the season as well. Marcus Dial and O'Connell Fortune, the new cornerbacks they're trying to break in. Both those guys, or Fortune has an interception. Marcellus Dial actually leads the team with 4 pass breakups. So anyway, opportunity offensively down the field because I don't think that secondary is very good. Defensively, opportunity to get after Spencer Rattler. Keep those rush lanes, keep the integrity there. If you're the ends, don't get pushed out, don't get washed in. Hold the end on the line of scrimmage. Force everything in. You inside guys, keep integrity in your rush lanes because Spencer Rattler's going to try to run. He's going to try to make some plays. Tennessee should run for 150 yards, if not more, in this football game. I truly believe that. North Carolina ran all over South Carolina. Georgia ran all over South Carolina. Mississippi State did not, but I think Tennessee can. I truly do. As I said on yesterday's show, I won't be surprised if Tennessee loses by 20, if Tennessee wins by 4. I'm going to stick with my prediction from yesterday. I go Tennessee 34, South Carolina 31. Something about Neyland at night, something about dark mode, those dark jerseys, something about all these fans are going to be juiced and ready to roll. I'm going to have a lot of that in favor of the Big Orange. Hey, when we come back, we'll ask Boogie Bentley what he thinks about this contest. That's coming up next right here on Locked On Vols. But before we get into Boogie Bentley, I want to say about our friends over at Nutrafol. Nutrafol. You don't have to choose between better hair growth and your health. Nutrafol provides a whole body health approach for men that promotes healthier hair. No drugs, no compromises, just better hair. Men think losing hair is inevitable. Take control of your hair's future with Nutrafol's science-backed hair growth supplement for men. Nutrafol is #1 dermatologist recommended hair growth supplement, clinically shown to improve hair growth, visible thickness, and visible scalp coverage. Nutrafol's hair growth supplements use physician-formulated, natural, science-backed ingredients. Their drug-free patent technology provides consistent, reliable results without compromising your sexual health. All right, good stuff here. Take the first step to visibly thicker, healthier hair. For a limited time, Nutrafol is offering our listeners $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping when you go to Nutrafol.com/men. Enter that promo code LOCKEDONCollege. Find out why 4,000 healthcare professionals recommend Nutrafol for healthier hair. Nutrafol.com/men, spelled Nutrafol.com/men. Enter that promo code LOCKEDONCollege. That's Nutrafol.com/men, promo code LOCKEDONCollege. Hey, it's Friday this week, and we're going to have on Boogie Bentley. Usually it's a Thursday, but sometimes it's Friday. But anyway, it's a little Locked On Talkin Vols. Boogie Bentley, host of the Talkin VAWLS Network. What's up, brother?
Ready for some football, man. I'm excited. I'm glad it's Friday. I'm glad you're bringing me on Friday because I don't have to come on here and pretend to know football. Everybody likes to remind me, this guy knows nothing about football. I'm just a hype man. Let's get fired up. Let's get ready to go. It's Tennessee, South Carolina. If this has not been circled on your calendar for an entire year, you don't have a soul. I don't know what you're doing with your life.
Well, since you don't know football, let's go ahead and get it out there. I'm not. I mean, you can give it to me right now if you want to. But look, how you feeling? I mean, it's been a week of. Yeah, well, they look like this against Florida. Yeah, it was UTSA. Yeah, South Carolina, no Juice Wells, yada, yada. Kind of where are you? It's Friday. How are you in terms of what you're thinking about Tennessee this weekend?
I'm strangely confident. I don't know why. Why should I be confident? I don't know. I said this, it's Florida week, right? Florida week. Well, Vegas, they know what they're talking about. Tennessee favored by a touchdown for a reason. People have reminded me all week long, you said the same thing against Florida, and Tennessee went down there and laid an egg. But again, Tennessee favored to win this game for a reason. 63-38. I've joked all week. I said I'm going to be giving the pep talk to start this thing off, and I'm going to walk into the locker room down in Knoxville, and I'm just going to write 63 23-38. I'm going to turn around and walk out because if you play college football and you need Inky Johnson to come in there, you need Al Wilson to come in there and try to fire you up for this game, I don't know, you're probably in the wrong sport. You probably need to find something else to do. This team better be fired up tonight. 7:30 kickoff. Everybody in that stadium is going to be liquored up and ready to go. Dark mode is engaged. It is the perfect atmosphere. It is the perfect atmosphere for Tennessee to create some momentum, continue some momentum coming off the bounce back week against UTSA, and then get ready for the bye week. I like Josh Heupel coming off of a win with an entire week to prepare for Texas A&M. I think Tennessee, you come out of the first half of the season 5-1, got to be pretty happy with that. Let's go play some football on the back half and see how this thing shakes out.
So at the time of this recording, and this is not being recorded Friday morning, everybody knows that, but at the time of this recording, that line again has grown another point to 12.5. So my question is, and somebody jumped in my comments earlier this week. I know I say that all the time. I shouldn't bring it on the show, but it's just kind of funny. It's like, oh, here we go again. Tennessee sucks. I'm so tired of this show. And I'm like, I've literally picked Tennessee to win every big game the past 2 years. Like, seriously. But I don't get that line. I'll just flat out say it. What does Vegas know that we don't? Is it simply what you just said, liquor it up, night game at Neyland, dark mode? I mean, what's going on here?
The funny thing with me for the line is at the beginning of the week, we thought it would go the other way, right? It started at, 11.5, and it's like, okay, that'll get down to maybe 8.5, somewhere, and it's going the other way. What does Vegas know that we don't know? South Carolina's got a lot of guys injured on that offensive line. 7 offensive linemen banged up. And you know, I presented this to my audience this week. I said, Team A and Team B. I'm not going to tell you who's who. I'm not going to tell you what conference they're in. I'm just going to rattle off stats, and everybody's going to eat me alive in the comment section. Oh, here we go talking about stats. I get it. You don't think I understand that Tennessee has played Austin Peay, Virginia? I mean, I understand. UTSA. Florida's the only team they've really been challenged to get against. But Tennessee, you got people out there saying, fire Tim Banks. You go look at this Tennessee defense. 29th in scoring defense, only giving up 17.25 points per game, 190 passing yards per game. That's good for 36th in the country. 111 rushing yards per game. That's good for 42nd in the country. You had a really bad second quarter against the Gators. You had 2 bad drives against UTSA. Yes, this defense needs more consistency, especially from the back end, particularly tackling. You force some turnovers against UTSA. That's a good thing to see. I just like this matchup. It comes down to, can Spencer Rattler single-handedly put this football team on his back and go beat Tennessee in Neyland Stadium, night game, dark mode, revenge game. Can he do it? We're going to find out. He's playing backyard football right now. He's running around in the pocket, making great plays. He wants to beat you with his arm, but he is using those legs to extend plays. Can Tennessee contain Spencer Rattler? That is all this game comes down to. What if the shoe was on the other foot and they were saying, hey, can Joe Milton go beat South Carolina by himself? No, but I think everything plays into Tennessee's advantage outside of Spencer Rattler. That's where the spread's coming from.
You know what's really incredible about Spencer Rattler this year, because I agree with you, he's playing backyard football because he's been sacked 17 times, should have been sacked 37 times already in 4 games. He's got no blocking, but he's completing passes at 74%. It's like, good grief, man. Like, you're playing backyard football and you're doing it damn good. I agree with a lot of what you said. We'll talk more about it here in another segment. But I do want to bring that on. You were talking about this defense, and you understand who they played and all that. So, I mean, I saw this stat earlier this week, SEC defensive rankings, yards per play. Tennessee is leading the SEC at 4.21 yards given up per play. That's good. And so, like, when I saw that, though, I'm not going to lie to you, my first reaction was, you ain't playing nobody, Paul, so, like, it doesn't really matter. Not trying to hate on the defense. I think that it is improved. I don't like what happened in the second quarter against Florida. I think you're going to learn a lot about the defense and Tennessee overall, against South Carolina. Remind everybody, you played just one SEC game. You don't truly know. But again, I'll be honest with you, my immediate reaction when I saw that stat was, okay, who cares? They ain't played nobody. That's kind of how I look at it.
Yeah, and I get that, right? I understand that mindset and that argument from people. You got to look at who we played. Stats don't always tell the full story. I say that all the time. But at the end of the day, you've played who you've played. You're a third of the way through this season. You're doing what you're supposed to do, right? I would have way more concerns if Tennessee was giving up 24, 31 points per game, something like that. But again, you clean up a second quarter against the Gators, and that's a tall task. They gave up, 20 points in that quarter? I get it. UTSA, 2 drives, man. People that weren't satisfied with that UTSA game, they're like, how are you so confident? We sucked against UTSA. What were you watching? What were you watching? It was 2 drives, and the first of that drive should have ended on 3rd and 2. Elijah Herring over pursues. And it's coach speak. It's fluff. I get it. but it takes 11 guys doing their job. And one guy, Elijah Herring, over-pursued. That drive gets extended, and they go down and they score. The missed tackle from, who was it, Turnage? On the next drive. Missed tackle. Guys got to execute. And let me ask you this question.
Yeah.
Can you improve tackling in a week? Can you get better, or is that an off-season thing? Because that's what needs to improve.
Somebody asked me that today earlier this week on our mailbag, and my answer was the way you get better at tackling is you just keep tackling. You just keep tackling. It is so difficult to get better in tackling in the offseason because you can't tackle in the offseason. I mean, you can't. I mean, you can go outside and shoot threes. You can go out and hit baseballs, take infield. You can go do so many other things. Football, you can't physically go out there and replicate what you do on Saturday. You just can't.
Yep.
And so I think it is something that you can get better at from week to week. Now, are you going to see a drastic change in 1 week? Probably not. But what do you look like in week 8? What do you look like in week 10? Hopefully, you're a better tackling football team as the year goes on. So that's kind of how I answered it. I mean, again, we don't get to see much, but basically half of what we do get to see in fall camp of the 20 minutes, they're doing tackling circuits. They start practice every day doing tackling circuits. So, I mean, they are putting in the work. It's just, boy, the last 3 games, 10-plus missed tackles. After a really solid effort against Virginia, only 7 missed tackles. It's not good.
Yeah, but you can roll a donut and go hit it. You can hit a sled. It's kind of like fighting, right? I'm real tough when I'm hitting a heavy bag that doesn't have arms and legs. But when all of a sudden the guy that I'm fighting has arms and legs and he's firing back, I'm not so tough anymore. Same thing with tackling. I don't care if you can tackle a dummy, if you can tackle a donut. You better learn how to tackle a gamecock on Saturday night, or it could be a long night with Ligeti running around making plays out there. We'll see what happens. I still like Tennessee in this football game.
Yeah, we're going to talk more about Tennessee and South Carolina here in just a second. I do want to give a quick shout-out to a proud sponsor of the show, and that is FanDuel Sportsbook. FanDuel Sportsbook, did you know it's America's #1 sportsbook? I'm sure you did, because we talk about it all the time right here on Locked On Vols. But you can snap into the NFL season with FanDuel right now. New customers, $200 in bonus bets. That's guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. I'm going to say that again for you. $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. Win or lose, you're going to get it back in bonus bets, win or lose. If you're thinking about joining FanDuel, I encourage you to do it today because there's no better time. College football, NFL season. You've got basketball right around the corner. NASCAR is finishing things up right now. You know I love to bet on NASCAR. So many different things you can do with the spreads, the totals, those overs, those under. But I encourage you, if you're new to FanDuel, if you're new to sports, this kind of arena right here, do some props. Props are fun. Props are interesting. They keep you on your toes. Everybody likes to do Super Bowl props. You can do props for any football game you want at FanDuel Sportsbook. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to kick off the NFL season today. FanDuel, its official partner of the NFL. Welcome back into a Friday edition of Locked On Vols. I'm Eric Cain. Boogie Bentley of the Talkin VAWLS Network joining me here for his weekly hit. It's a big one. Tennessee, South Carolina. We all know what happened last year. And let me just say, Boogie, we in the media, we're out to get everybody. We have to ask the questions about, is this any motivation? Do you remember last year? And credit the coaching staff, credit the sports information staff. They did their jobs this week. Nah, it's just another game. We watched the tape, but you got to move on, just another game. But not only for Josh Heupel, because he wants to win this game by 100, every guy in that locker room that was in Columbia, South Carolina last year is ready to get this one.
Yeah, did you forget what they took from you? They took something from you last year. Yep. It's not just a football game. They didn't just beat you. They embarrassed you. They ran you out of the stadium. They took everything. A shot at a college football playoff, a shot at a national championship. How soon we forget. All of a sudden now everybody's ready to fire Tim Banks, fire this guy, bench that guy, do this, do that. We were just a few months away from enjoying an amazing ride, 11-win season, but South Carolina took something from Tennessee, and if they forgot, I'll gladly remind them. I'll go put it on Twitter because apparently everybody that's in that locker room listens to what I have to say on my show. So let me remind you guys, you got something to play for on Saturday night, and we're going to have 101,000 people in there with you that remember. It's going to be hostile. I'm ready to go, man. I'm fired up. I'm ready. I may not go to sleep. I may just stay up until Saturday night.
I can hear it in your voice, your tone, your inflection. You're a little excited right now.
I'm ready to go, man.
It's a big one. This is what college football is all about. Josh Heupel, he didn't say it Monday. He might say it, Thursday hasn't happened yet at the time of this recording. He might say it Thursday, but he usually gets up there and opens his press conference by saying, this is why you come to Tennessee. This is why you come to play. This is why you come to coach these big games. And I recognize South Carolina is not one of the big threes, but it is a monster game for what you want to accomplish. Is this a must-win? I think this is a must-win for both Meaning, again, I talked about this with Josh Ward, nobody's getting fired, okay? But for what you want to accomplish this year, winning the SEC East, but of course, double-digit win season, New Year's Six bowl game, yada, yada, you've got to win this game. I mean, it's just a huge game. Night game in Neyland, dark mode. I think it's a must-win game if you want to have a good quote-unquote season. Because if you lose this game, then you're honestly staring at 8-4, 9-win season at best if everything goes possibly the best way possible.
Yeah, I mean, you and I both said, 9-3. That's what this football team was going to do. And you look at the schedule, that's why Florida was so big. Everybody was kind of chalking up that Florida game to a win. Well, guess what? You didn't get it done. No. It definitely feels like it's must win. And you mentioned the SEC East. People are going to laugh at you saying that. That better be this team's goal. This team's goal better be to go win the SEC East. It's still wide open. You're still going to have an opportunity. I don't think Florida's that good. I think Florida's going to drop a few games. We'll see how it shakes out in the SEC East. But this team better be playing for it. It does feel like kind of must win because you lose this game, then all of a sudden you're looking at Texas A&M. You got that bye week. You're coming off of a win. That's some motivation to go get ready and prepare for Texas A&M. Yep. You're coming off of a loss. Pick yourself up, dust yourself off. Here we go again. You got Georgia and Alabama on the back half. That's why it was so crucial to me. If you could get out of September undefeated, they didn't do it. They dropped one. That's okay. Saturday night, must win. I'm saying it. I'm with you.
I think if you win this game, you go into the back half of the schedule as the aggressor. If you lose this game, you're going in as just trying to survive, tread water.
Yeah,
I think that's fair.
You're looking at 8-4 if you lose this game.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, you're home against A&M. Gosh, even if you don't have Wagman, Max Johnson, what that dime double coverage back in the end zone the other day. Whew. Of course, on the road to Tuscaloosa, going to Kroger. Can't make fun of Kroger anymore because you got the Food City Center, but still going to make fun of Kroger. And then, of course, Georgia, Missouri, they've looked halfway decent at times. So, yeah, again, a lot from the SEC. No Juice Wells. Knew that was expected. They are getting their slot receiver back. Joiners at running back this year. Run game's not very good, but, he tore Tennessee up, torched them up with the Wildcat last year. You got Leggett, who has come out of nowhere, very much like Cedric Tillman a couple years ago. And then you got Spencer Rattler. All those are offensive players. Defensively, they got a couple of players, but they don't really scare me too much. I think one of my keys is Tennessee has got to run the football, got to be effective running the football, need to get close to 200, if not over 200. You do that, you're well on your way to a win. When you look at that offensive cast and characters, what does Tennessee need to do defensively to kind of limit Spencer Rattler win this football game?
It's so tough, man, because you want to get after. I said it early this week. If you don't want to hear get after Spencer Rattler, you might as well stay off the internet because that's going to be the talking point on every YouTube show, every radio show, every media outlet. That's the key, man. That's it. Nobody on this South Carolina offense really scares me. You've just got to contain Spencer Rattler. But the problem is his legs, right? You can get after him, and Rodney Garner talked about it this week. His guys are going to have to stay in their rushing lanes, keep him bottled up in the pocket. I don't know that he's really going to make mistakes. The guy's been on a tear ever since he tore up Tennessee and ruined their opportunity at a college football playoff. He's been playing like a Heisman Trophy candidate, and people can laugh when he transferred to South Carolina. I got ate alive for saying that game scares me last year because which Spencer Rattler were we going to get? I never thought what he did at Oklahoma was who he was. Everybody liked to go back and look at the Netflix show and talk about his attitude and his temper. He is settled in at South Carolina, and he is playing really good football. That's it. I'm not worried about anything else that they do offensively. I think it comes down to Tennessee. What does that offense look like? What does Joe Milton look like? Is Joe Milton healthy? Can they get that tempo going like they got early against UTSA? This thing could very well end up being a shootout. Can Tennessee answer the call and respond if South Carolina jumps on top of them?
I'm trying to look up some PFF numbers on Spencer Rattler. This is done better off the air to bring onto the show, not in real time. My point is, backyard football, going to be running around a little bit. These linebackers, you brought up earlier, Elijah Herring over pursued on one of those plays. He missed 3 tackles, I think, last game. I think he's getting better. I truly do. I think he's got a long way to go. I think he's getting better. Those linebackers, Aaron Beasley included, man, you struggled against Florida. Struggled. You're going to have your opportunities this game for sure. No doubt about it. And then another note on Spencer Rattler. I had this from Monday in my first glance. Man, you brought it up earlier about how that game kind of kind of scared you when he transferred from Oklahoma to South Carolina. But prior to that Tennessee game, I mean, everybody's getting their jokes in, myself included. It's like, oh, Spencer Rattler this, Spencer Rattler that. And it was deservedly so because previously, prior to that Tennessee game, he had passed for 300 yards on the season one time. He had thrown 2 touchdowns in a game one time just the week before. Florida embarrassed him. He led an offense, kept him out of the end zone. Didn't even pass for 200 yards, I don't believe. So, I mean, it's with good reason that we say the switch flipped last year with Tennessee, and he has been he's not slowed down at all. So here's to maybe flipping that switch back down a year later in this same football game with Tennessee. Give me a final score. Give me a bold prediction in this one.
Tennessee, you said run the football. That's it, man. That's kind of been one of my talking points all week. Tennessee needs to run the football. And again, I go back to that team A, team B. You don't know who's who. You got one team that leads the SEC in rushing yards. You got one team that's dead last in the SEC in rushing yards, and they're going to go play each other on Saturday night. And guess what? The team that leads the SEC is the home team, and it's a night game, and it's a hostile environment, and revenge is on the mind. Everything lines up for Tennessee to go win this football game. I think they need to run the ball early, run the ball often. I don't care if it's Dylan Sampson, Jabari Small, Jalen Wright. I don't care if Eric Cain's out there running the football. Run the football. Let's make it an old-school SEC game. Let's be physical. Let's run it down their throat. Find a way to stop Spencer Rattler and go win this football game. Man, I've not even put together my thoughts for a prediction. Let me just say 34-27 Tennessee. We're going to be nervous. Yeah. We're going to get out of there with a W. I have confidence in this football game, man. I just have confidence. And Spencer Rattler owes me one, man. You talked about all the trash you were talking. Guess what? The guy who boldly said Spencer Rattler's going to play great football this year, and he sucked the entire years. So I ate an entire year's worth of crow about Spencer Rattler, and then he still sticks the knife in my back and beats Tennessee. So I got nothing out of that. Nothing. No positivity out of that at all.
Talking about Eric Cain running the football, there was a time scout team running back in the playoffs, back in freshman year of college. Maybe tote that rock, triple option. Oh, that was a whole lot of fun. But, again, Tennessee doesn't want that. You do want Dylan Sampson, Jalen Wright, and Jabari Small. Boogie, it's Friday morning. Got a full day ahead. Got a full day tomorrow. But as we've already mentioned, fans getting liquored up, getting ready for this football game. What do you have over on Talkin Vols between now and kickoff? And I would imagine it's going to be a late one, but you're going to have a post-game show as well.
Yeah, we'll be up late Saturday night, hopefully celebrating a win. But, hey, we got a saying over at the Talkin VAWLS Network. That's pull up a chair, crack open a beer, and come on and talk some Tennessee football. We'll be live an hour before kickoff. You guys, the fans of the show, get an opportunity to jump on and talk some Tennessee football with us. It is always a good time. I've said it on here before. The first time we ever did it, told everybody put your headphones in, find a nice quiet place, come on and let's be a professional. First dude ever on a fan call-in show, shirt off, straw in his mouth. Go Vols. That's what we're doing over there at the Talkin VAWLS Network. Hey, I said this week, yeah, Locked On Talkin Vols is a fun show, man, but one of those guys is professional. One of them's always dragging the other one down. Somebody in my chat said, yeah, if Cainer would just clean it up, man, y'all would have a great crossover. Not my words.
Fair play. All right, Boogie, appreciate you, man. Thanks so much.
Later, buddy.